So back on the Corsa today, while we get it through a service, do all the filters and do all the oil. But today, we're going to be doing the air filter. So first things first, let's get the bonnet up. So this is a little 1.2 Corsa petrol, and the air filter is positioned just over here on the left hand side as you open the bonnet. So to get to the filter, pretty much what we've got to do is basically remove the cover. So to do that, we've got a few T25 Torx bits that we need to remove. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then where we've got our air mass flow meter, what we'll do, we just disconnect these two circlips as well, so that we can remove that, and then that will allow us to kind of pull it up. So first things first, what we're going to do is just release this plug, which just pulls away. You probably have this little yellow connector in there. That should be pushed in. Once it is in there, what it does is just kind of secures the clip so it won't come away. And then once that's away, just set it aside. And then these circlips on this one is just 7mm hex nut. So I'm just going to loosen these off. And so with those loose, what I can now do is just move this hose out of the way. It can be a little bit stiff at times, but away with it comes the mat. There we go, and you can see straight away we've now got more space and distance, obviously, to free up the enclosure lid. So we'll get these 4 little screws undone right now. Okay, so we don't need to take these screws all the way out. They're kind of self-fixing, so they stay within there. They're not threaded all the way up, which you can just about see there. The thread only starts halfway down, so they can just stay within the housing. And then round the back, what we've got, you can just about see kind of these clips that go under, meaning that the whole housing needs to kind of hinge up. So what we should be able to do is just, if I put the camera down, kind of okay, so there we go. So with the housing released, you can see kind of these clips around the back that I was talking about. All they do is just tuck under the receiving bits kind of here. You got 1, 2, 3. And then right now we can see our old air filter. So quite simply, we'll make a note. Obviously the vanes are going back to front or up and down, whatever you want to call it. And as we pull it out, there we go. We can see where the dirt and the dust is. It's not too bad, it's not horrendous. Certainly seen cleaner ones for sure. So with the air filter out the housing, what we can do now is just get a hoover in there just to get any debris out as well. Okay, so then with the new filter, we can just line it up and check it against the old filter, just make sure they're the same size, which obviously these ones are. What's interesting to see with this one is kind of how it's deteriorated. What's actually happened is it's kind of come in here, so the air's going in is not potentially being filtered fully. So let's get that one out of the way. We'll get the new one out of the bag and we'll put it back in the housing. Okay, great. So with that now in there, what we can do is just get a housing lid and just basically go exactly in reverse as to what we did before. We'll start off getting these clips in there, and then we can do up the 4 screws. Just before you start to tighten these up, just have a look around, make sure you're not pinching the filter anywhere, and make sure it's gone in the box perfectly. Once you're happy, then we can just tighten these screws down. It's obviously only a plastic housing, so there's no need to go crazy with it. Just nice and tight, nice and firm, nice and snug, so it's not going to go anywhere. And that rubber around the edge of the filter is just going to make a nice seal and make sure that our air's filtered perfectly. Okay, great. So once that lid's on perfectly, what we can then do is just bring our exit hose back out, back into position, slide it back in, make sure it's all the way up, and then obviously get our 7mm nut piece, hex driver, just on here, tighten up these Jubilee clips. As much as it made it kind of a little bit easier to flex it, what you might find is that you don't actually need to loosen this one off, but for me it was just a bit easier to give a bit of extra flex. Okay, so once they're tight, just find your plug, pop it back in, get a nice little click, and then a little sealing yellow tab just goes in there. If you've got it on your car, you might have this little clip here as well, and again that just goes into the side of the housing here. This one was already out, so I'm just going to pop that one in, and there we go. So as much as I don't really need to, what I'm going to do now is just to give the car a start, make sure that we've not got any error messages from unplugging that or anything like that, and just make sure it's flowing nicely. Okay, brilliant. So there we go, no error messages there or anything. So we'll switch it off again for now. Okay, fantastic, there we go. So just with that one T25 and that one 7mm hex nut bit, we've been able to change that really simply, nice and easily. So there we go. If you found that helpful in any way, please remember to give us a like down below. If you haven't done so already, remember to hit subscribe coming up here now. There's going to be loads more videos on this car coming out. So we're just going through the service. Obviously, we've got loads of bits and pieces to do. But for today, thanks very much for watching. Really appreciate you taking the time. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.